Our pump is installed in the well shaft, but as you can probably tell behind me, it's not actually connected to anything right now. Long term, it will be wired and plumbed into our utility building, but in the short term, we need to connect that to temporary power, either our electrical backboard here when we get that hooked up to the grid, or a portable generator. And so to do that, we're going to be installing a post next to the well shaft that we can use for temporary power. I pre-assembled this yesterday and got it all wired up. And so today we're going to be installing it. Essentially what this is simply a 15 amp inlet receptacle. So this is not power coming out of here, it's power going in. So we'll plug an extension cord from our generator or from the backboard into here to provide power. This is a junction box where we're going to be able to coil up a load of those cables, including the Cat 6 cable we pulled. And then up at the top here, we just have a nice on-off switch that we can use. That way, when we plug it in, it doesn't try and sort of arc as we connect it. We can have it turned off, plug it in, and then turn on the well pump. This isn't an in-use receptacle, so we will only have it plugged in when we're using it and when it's dry. This is all going to be set into the ground about 16 inches, which is basically the difference between the grade that is around the well shaft right now and finished grade. So this is pretty much going to sit on the floor there and then get buried with topsoil. To make it more stable, what I also built was a couple of brackets, and if you come over to the well, so one of these brackets here is going to fit around the well shaft like that, and then we've got this collar that joins two pieces of the shaft together, so I made one with a slightly different radius that will sit around that one. If you're wondering how I made these, I just did it using a couple of circular saws, which happen to have pretty much the exact same diameter blade as the diameter of the shaft and of this collar here as well. So that gave me these two different radii, and these will then sit essentially something like this around the well shaft to give me a flat surface to which I can screw the post. These will be held in place against the shaft using some big gear clamps. We got some super long ones here. So these will wrap all the way around all of that and hold everything securely in place. And obviously the bottom 16 inches, once it's been filled, will provide some support as well. So that's the plan. In order to do that, we're going to have to take the well seal back off the top of the well there, so that we can take the wires back through that hole where we temporarily pulled them, and then pull them back up through a piece of conduit that's going to come into the back of this box here. So we have just created this little fitting here. It's just a couple of male terminal adapters, one either end, with a 90 and a piece of straight 1-inch conduit. This is what's going to come out of the top of the well, and then all the wires are going to come up through here, and that will terminate in the back of this middle box here, which gives us loads of space to work in. To do this, we're going to have to take the well seal off, because we need to take off the white adapter that's on there, and I don't think we can actually just put the wires through and twist it because of the elbow. So we're probably going to have to pull the wires back out of there, screw this in, and then pull the wires back through. That's probably the best way to do it. So I can now feed the pull rope. Oh no, it's fine. Just testing. It's only a game, so... That's good questions. You asked great questions, darling. Basically, I'm just going to lift this. You go where you need to go. Or actually, let's just cheat. Just in the big box, the blue box, there's a thing that looks like a set of vice grips. Okay, so squeeze. Perfect. I'll hold this now. Oh. You've never used vice grips before, have you? No. Just realised this. So take the vice grips off. Happy with that?
Yeah.
That's pointing straight at you?
No, you just turned. Yeah, that's better.
So these nuts that I'm tightening here, these squeeze the two pieces of the well seal together, and that rubber sort of giant washer, I guess, in the middle, that rubber piece in the center, gets pressed together and then squeezes out at the side, locking this tight against the sides of the well shaft, which not only holds it in position, but also stops any dirt or debris getting down. It also squeezes around these connections here to make these really strong and make sure these don't move as well. So you never want to completely undo these nuts. That's where, if you do, the bottom drops off, and if you're lucky, very lucky, it'll fall down and catch on your well pump or something, and you can pull it up and get it again. If you're very unlucky, it'll catch on your well pump and wedge sideways in the casing at some point, and you've lost your well pump and your casing then. So don't undo these nuts all the way. I only loosen them a few turns just to get the seal off earlier.
So getting the wires pulled through here wasn't too bad. It's just you do have to think about the red order operation.
Yeah, I mean, if I'd had this built before we installed the well, that would have been great. We could have had it mounted on here and we could have pulled it straight up through here. I kind of like getting these things just done in a fairly logical order, and it sort of made sense to me to get the well pump installed, make sure all that went well, and then figure out the wiring and everything else on top. But we now have all the wire coming out through this piece of conduit in the right orientation, the right place, so that hopefully we can now mount our post on here and it'll all be good. The last thing we need to do is, the post is almost exactly the right height, but it's probably off by maybe a 1/4 inch or so, and that's fine. We can raise it up as we strap it to the well shaft, and then we'll pack dirt underneath, or sand or whatever, and then the ground, when it's filled up, backfilled around here, will submerge the post anyway. So we just need to set the height on that post and attach the second anchor.
And we need to put these wires through the post.
We do, which will be fun. Yeah, there's no stress on that connection. And then drop it down. Okay. Okay. I think we should take the whole thing off and take it back to the truck. And do it over there.
You pull all the wires back out again?
Yeah. I can tell how much you're enjoying this, that's the thing. Unless you think we can just do it there.
I think we can do it here.
Okay, so give me this.
Get the 4 screws in.
Yeah. Sometimes you ruin all my fun, Diana, I told you that.
Just about efficiency.
Efficiency. That's what I don't say.
I don't want to do things 3 times if I can do it in 2 times.
Come for you. Come for me. And this one I want to go that way up. Let me get one on here as well. Okay. This can come off now. That's mint. No, don't peel that off. That's alignment mark.
Just checking.
Okay, flags. Who are the flags? These pieces can come
Okay, I can remove this.
You can remove that. All right, so I've got the wires from the well pump now wired into this assembly here. The other cables are still just out for now. I'm going to tuck those in later, but for now we want to test the well pump. We don't have electricity yet on site. The backboard is in, but a transformer and wiring from the power company isn't in yet. So for now we have to run that off generators. If you remember, we bought 2 generators earlier this year when we arrived in Vermont, or just before we arrived here in Vermont. And the idea of buying 2 was just in case one broke, we would have a backup. Well, last week, both of the generators broke. It was the same issue on both. Under warranty, Wen are sending us some parts, and they should be here tomorrow. But in the meantime, we have borrowed a generator from some very kind neighbours. It is very loud, though. It's a much larger generator than ours. It's a 10,000 watt generator. So that is super loud, which means we won't be able to hear if the pump turns on. But we're going to turn on, and this is brand new. We have not turned this switch to on yet. So I've checked the wiring. I'm now going to turn on the generator, and we'll switch that to on, and see if we start getting some water coming out of that hose. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, it's turned on. So obviously the drop pipe is completely empty right now. So there's a lot of pipe to fill up, and the well pump. Oh, there we go.
We got water!
Wait, this is our first water. We have water from our own property. What do I do? What do I do? This is very exciting. And so then I can turn this switch off and the water stops. So there we go. We have water. Oh, this is exciting. I'm really happy about this. We have it. We have water. That worked exactly as expected. It took a little bit of time for the slow start pump to spin up, and then obviously the drop pipe that we put down was completely empty because this is the first time we've run it. So it had to fill that water line that went up about 100 feet, and obviously fill the hose. And then it sounds like our drain valve is working correctly. When we turn the pump off, you can hear some gurgling from here, which I'm pretty sure is that drain valve allowing air back. Doesn't drain back though if we close that faucet, so we do have to keep that faucet open. The plan is to have a backflow preventer on the actual hose. Again, this is just a short-term measure. The long-term measure will have all that stuff installed permanently. But for now, for the first time ever, we have running water on our property.
So the first utility is done.
One down, a few more to go.